This is the 215th episode of CloudFocus Weekly for the second week of May 2015. This episode is titled Got It Finished. CloudFocus Weekly is brought to you by Arkus, specializing in Salesforce implementation, consulting, and Force.com development. Search for Arkus, A-R-K-U-S, on the App Exchange and read what our clients have to say about us. I'm your host, Jason Allen, and joining me for 215 times in a row, co-host, packed and ready, Justin Travel Edelstein.
What do you mean travel?
Because next week...
Oh, we're traveling.
Yeah. There will be
So are we not doing one of these next week? I guess not.
Would we be doing it? Monday?
No, that ain't happening.
Yep. Not happening.
Can do it from a flight. The person sitting next to us would absolutely hate us.
We are actually sitting next to each other. Well, so there's always a good reason or two why we don't do a podcast. It's CloudFocus, mostly weekly. And
weekly plus or minus one, either direction.
Yeah. Right.
Sometimes we do 3.
CloudFocus mostly a few times a month.
Mm-hmm. Why don't we just call it CloudFocus monthly, and then have the expectations go down, and then just crush it by doing it almost weekly.
Yeah, or do twice a month and be bi-monthly. I don't know. Anyway, so next week we are headed off to San Francisco.
Yeah. The land of milk and honey,
yes,
and Salesforce.
And for Salesforce. And meeting up with some of our Salesforce buds.
Let the rumors fly now. We may or may not be buying Salesforce. That is why we're going to San Francisco.
Exactly right. We're being called in to consult. They're consulting us on this purchase.
Let's put it this way. We will be meeting with Parker Harris.
I did go to the bank yesterday. Just put 2 and 2 together, kids.
Check my travel schedule.
I went to the bank and we're meeting with Parker Harris. Come on, you know what's happening. Next stop.
Logical next stop is
Arkus
we
buys
Salesforce.
Arkus buys Salesforce.
Arkus buys 0.0000001% of Salesforce,
and Arkus buys a share.
Arkus owns 3 shares of Salesforce.
All right, we'll get to that in a second. We'll talk about the continuation of the rumors.
It's a surge.
But we'll start off by a blog post, which is how we always start our podcast.
Is that why this is called Got It Finished?
Yes.
Because you got it done.
Getting things done.
You were getting it done, and now you got it finished.
Yeah, so this week's blog post is about... it's a review of Getting Things Done by David Allen. What you say? Isn't that been
Who
around?
now? 15 years in the making?
Yeah, so this is the refreshed book of Getting Things Done, which I've now listened to a bunch of podcasts of him talking about it, maybe like 4 or 5, sort of why he rewrote it.
4 or 5? Come on now.
Is that not enough?
Don't be embarrassed.
That's 4 or 5.
Tell the truth.
39,000.
Thank you.
Okay. And so anyway, we found this out, I guess, back in October when we went to one of his one-day seminars and met him and talked to him. I remember there was a rumor that he's going to rewrite the book, or he's going to, I don't want to say rewrite, I want to say refresh. So it came out March something. I read it and I wrote a little review of it.
Like a book report.
Like a book report.
Like an elementary
Summary,
school child.
Conclusion. bullet point, sub-summary, subtopic. So an interesting one because it's a book that in some ways I know so well, but in some ways I have not read it for at least... I've not read the book, and I'm air quoting. Everybody can see me air quoting.
Well, I see you.
I've not read the book since 2006, maybe?
Really?
Yeah.
I thought you read it every year.
No. I don't read it. I
listen
to, and I actually don't read this one. I think Making It All Work.
You read that one.
Which is the second one. I don't read it. I listen to that one.
The audio version?
I love that one. That book is, because it's even better than this, although, again, it's kind of hard to say. If you're a GTD newbie, which we just have a few around the office now, you need to read this because this is the basics.
I mean, you can't go just read Making It All Work without having the foundation.
I don't think so. Getting Things Done is much more transactional, and he's actually pulled a little bit out of the transactional nature of it.
Does he talk about 43 folders?
He does, but really
in the new version?
Yeah, but he talks about it in terms of one way. He really just sort of, in more anything, he took off the very specific things to sort of systems and and technologies. So like he talks about a social network. He things that come into your inbox, but he doesn't do Facebook or Twitter. He's really.
But wasn't 43 folders an extremely specific, air quote, technology?
Yeah, he kind of rewraps it and says, here's one way of a tickler system. But here's another. You could also use folders on your desktop. You could also use things like, online digital systems. So it's a lot. So before he wouldn't even acknowledge that because Evernote and Dropbox didn't exist. So now they do. And now things like 43 folders, really 43 folders was about about organizing when things and having things pop up when you needed to. But now with applications like OmniFocus, I don't need 43 folders because it does that for me. I just defer it, and then it'll come back when it's supposed to. I say, defer Mother's Day until May 1st, and then on May 1st, it shows up my project list. So you don't really need 43 folders anymore if you have a good GTD app.
I thought you were going to say, defer Mother's Day for whenever.
Yeah. Well, it saved my ticket. So I have Mother's Day and my anniversary, and they both popped up in my GTD. I was like,
got to go to the jewelry store.
No. Gotta order some pens. So anyway, he really pens. He took out a lot of the very specific technology stuff, sort of whitewashed it with less specific technology stuff. Talks about digital systems. The idea is he wants this to last another 15 years. So not have to go back in 5 years and go, oh, well, Facebook doesn't exist anymore. Let's say Facebook goes away. And then you say, oh, well, Facebook was a digital inbox.
Well, we're also buying Facebook.
Right, we are
in San Francisco.
But the most important thing, and then we'll move on, is there's 2 new chapters. One is called Gtd and Cognitive Science, where, and this I know the partner who shall not be named, he should just buy this book just to read this because he'd really like it. It's about all the studies that have happened over the last 15 years about GTD. So talking about it and studies, scientific studies. That's really interesting. And then the last one was my favorite, which was sort of a GTD mastery. So it kind of lays out these levels. It says, well, if you're doing this, you're kind of here. If you're doing this, you're kind of here. And so I was reading it. It's like, okay, I got to that one. Ooh, I got to that one. Ooh, I got to that one. So it's good. I really enjoyed it. It was a good refresh. If you haven't read it, obviously you start here. You would not read the old one at this point. If you haven't read it, you've been a GTDer for a long time, and you've never reread. This is a good kick in the butt to go do it because it's like, oh, it's new and there's new stuff in it. Yeah, that's it.
You know what I like? When you linked to it, you linked to his page and not like the Amazon page to go buy it.
Yeah, I didn't do that.
No, that was good. I like what you did there. It shouldn't go unnoticed that if you were to go to blog.arkusinc.com and click on a review of Getting Things Done by David Allen 2015, you would see your picture.
Yeah, we now have we were talking about this the other day. We had a few things we wanted to do. We talked about it. It was really
we?
Yeah, we talked about there's some new Google algorithms, and basically if you don't have a
mobile-friendly
website,
right.
So
scrap it.
So we have some other things building. There's some things we're still working on. There's some things that,
But your picture's there, so if anyone's interested in not seeing the cartoon version of you.
Oh, yes. Where's the cartoon version of me?
On this as they're watching their screen or looking at the screen that they're listening to this on.
Yes. Well, the best part is that I like about this new functionality is when you click on the picture, you go to their authors page, which then you can see everything they wrote.
Could we do something different with that? I mean, I love where it brings you. I love the function of it.
Yeah.
It's just it kind of doesn't look very sexy.
It doesn't need to.
It's just a list.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
Yep.
Nothing cooler.
That's all you're getting. If you click, there's another one you can go on, filter your results. It's all sorts of good stuff.
Right.
Nope, that's it.
All right, let's talk about our acquisition.
All right, so
we're gonna make waves.
So
we're gonna be on CNBC next.
Well, why are you telling them where we're going?
Oh, sorry.
We're meeting with, what's his name? What's the big guy who yells a lot?
Jim Cramer. Where's my thing to smash?
Here's the thing. I've never watched an entire show of Jim Cramer, and I'm happy. I've never done that.
You've never seen the Benioff clips on Cramer, though?
Oh, I've seen clips.
You've never seen clips of him just going nuts?
A little
bit.
He
throws things at the camera. He makes a lot of sound effects.
The most clips I've ever seen of him was when, right after the financial crash, where people were replaying all the clips where he was saying, don't worry, keep buying. And then those companies went out of business 2 months later. Those are the ones I was more.
Was he making sounds, though?
Yeah, buy it. And then, lose all your retirement money. That's That's the sound of you losing
I don't know.
all your money.
Like, bull. I don't know what the sounds are.
I have opinions about the stock market.
Glass breaking.
The stock market should not be for people making jokes of it. It's a place where you can make tons of money, but people can lose a lot of money by being stupid and uneducated about it. And I feel like in the last 10 years, it's turned into, it's for everybody. Everybody jumps in. Yeah, you go in and trade stocks. I had my brother at one point who's in construction. He would come home at night. He'd play online poker. He does not listen to this podcast. So it's okay. I love you, buddy. He'd play online poker, and then he would trade stocks. And then he was talking to me about all this stuff. And I was like, and it just hit me. It's like, if my brother, who's a construction worker,
what are you trying to say?
He has no education in stockbrokering, and he was trading stock. I've never done day trading. I worked at a financial trading house for not 10 years, but I never day traded. I would buy a few stocks and then I just hold them. That's as much as I did. So when my brother was in construction and get home, and then he'd play online poker and then go, play around and buy some stocks here and there, I was like, this is no good. This is not where people should be doing with their money. Anyway, moving on.
What does that have anything?
So
whatever.
if you really want to hedge the market, go for CRM, which
CRM.
is bought. So the rumors have been surging. I think there's been no. I've not heard anything real. It's all been just rumor. Everything from Microsoft to Oracle to SAP, I guess. I mean, it's really been the ones we talked about.
The only thing that's real is that that Salesforce has hired
that you think
advisors to deal with an inquiry.
Deal with an inquiry, right?
To deal with an inquiry, they have actually hired people to help them figure that out.
And it kind of came out that, the one I'm seeing is Microsoft is the name that's coming up.
Are we going to make this a rumor thing, like where you and I give our opinions on what we want to happen, or are we going to make this like a news story thing?
It's not. Well, we're not a news organization.
Yeah, let's give our what we want to happen situation. What do you want to happen? Let's go. Let me make this into a real thing. So
a real thing.
Well, more of a what do you want to happen? I want nothing to happen. Okay, fine, that's fair. But let's make this into more.
If
of a game.
Salesforce were to be bought, who would it be bought by?
All right. Here's the scenario.
Okay,
it's happening.
It's happening.
Yeah, watch my hand. It's happening. It just happened.
Okay.
Someone is buying them. Some person or some company, something is buying Salesforce. Let's go ahead and say it's another tech company. Let's even narrow it. So a tech
Does it
company.
rhyme with Barkus?
Could be.
Okay.
Maybe.
Wait, let me get my wallet out.
All right. I used my Apple Watch and I bought CR. All right.
My mistake of Amazon.
Oops. So a tech company is buying Salesforce.com, the whole thing.
Right.
Not just bits and pieces.
Right.
The whole thing.
Right.
We talked about this a little bit because we kind of squeezed it into our last episode because it was just happening. And we said a couple of guesses.
Right.
Who would you want the buyer to be? And then give me another company who you wouldn't want the company to be. Because it's absolutely happening. You can't punt.
Right. I can't punt and say, don't make this happen.
By the way, we don't know that. We're playing the game.
Right. They're playing the game.
And Arkus isn't allowed.
And do I have to stick to the top three? Or can I go outside and just
I kind of said a tech company. You can go with whoever you want in that sector.
Okay.
Unless you want to go crazy and say it makes sense for, I don't know, some other whatever to buy it.
Right.
Not tech company, but I think I don't know if that makes sense.
I'm gonna.
If you want, I can go first.
I'm gonna punt a little on the question by saying that
not allowed.
Yes, it is.
You didn't make the rules.
I just did.
I made the rules.
That what I want for Salesforce being bought by another company is a mixture of good synergy. So meaning that there's something that Salesforce is getting out of the agreement, and for a continuation of the culture and the things I like about Salesforce, right? That
you're not answering the question.
I'm going to answer the question. Well, you have to let me answer the question. So that's sort of the contingent. Like I wanted to. So then thinking through the players, right? There are players who I think it would just be a complete S show. Is this an explicit podcast?
It is not.
Okay. Complete S show. To me, that's a company that is so culturally divergent of where Salesforce is that it would just be one of those sort of Time Warner AOL things where everybody go, it's terrible. These two companies won't get together. To me, that's the IBM and SAP. Those are the two culturally that I think they just wouldn't work. Huge, big software companies that have been doing it their way forever, and would buy them to sweep them under. An example would be IBM buying Lotus. So Lotus was a very up and coming, had great software, was doing great, and IBM bought them, and now Lotus just doesn't exist. And they were they were very forward thinking. They had good stuff, but IBM just turned them into smush. So to me, that's sort of the bad side. Then the other side is, but it goes for the other side. So a company, let's say like Google, right? We're talking major players, Yahoo maybe, that are they're almost so powerfully cultural that there's nowhere for Salesforce to move, and that we were talking about this yesterday. Google could just possibly come in and
don't give away all my stuff.
Well, I'm talking.
Well, you're just rambling. You haven't even answered the question yet.
So, what was the question again? Like, which would be the best or the worst?
I asked you for one company, if you could just be like, magic wand, I pick you.
To buy them.
And then one that's like, I absolutely don't want you. So I think you already answered that.
Absolutely don't want you, SAP, IBM. If I could pick of the people who they're talking about, I think the one that makes the most sense, the one that I could see Salesforce being a bigger partner in and maybe helping the company go change their company and become more Salesforcean, if you will, would be Oracle. And it's only because of the connections. All the connections between Larry Ellison and Mark Benioff. It's where he worked. It's the prodigal son returning. It's, he has investments there. Larry Ellison's not a spring chicken anymore. He eventually just wants to go sit on his yacht. I mean, he's way up there. And if you threw a cool scenario like Salesforce is merged or compurged or whatever they call it with Oracle, and then the path to the running of Oracle goes through Mark Benioff as the runner, becomes the leader of Oracle, and then turns Oracle around. Then I'm kind of like, oh, that's interesting, because that would be interesting.
But is it then Oracle World, or is it Dream World, or is it Oracle Force?
I think you would.
What is the conference?
I think you would recreate the name of them. You'd almost recreate them. You have
all right. Can I answer my own question? Or just be a part of it.
Yeah, go ahead. I want to ask you a question. What's your favorite color?
Depends on the day.
Go for it.
All right. I basically gave you that answer yesterday, so you stole it from me.
No, we had a conversation.
You just stole my answer. I think Oracle is a good option of all the ones that we've been hearing about.
But only under those circumstances. If it's by Salesforce, turns Salesforce into a product, and Mark Benioff goes off, then that's not. I
just don't see that happening.
Why not?
I just don't.
How many employees does Oracle have?
I don't know. I'm not looking that up. But I feel like Salesforce is already built on Oracle's stack, right? Most of their stuff is back-ended by Oracle. They had that huge announcement a year or two ago, and it's been back-ended by Oracle for a long, long time. And there's certain proprietary things that Salesforce does to those Oracle databases that I'm sure would benefit a whole lot of people. Aside from Mark, there's also Keith Block, who came over from Oracle and is pretty much one of the head honchos at Salesforce these days. And that would make sense too, since he was a big guy at Oracle as well. So maybe they can go back in. What is that sound?
Just looking at the comparison of what Oracle is to what Salesforce is.
Well, they must dwarf them.
Yeah. How many employees do you think Salesforce has?
14,000, 15,000.
It's like 18,000, but okay. How many Oracle has?
200?
122,000.
Wow.
So I think our thing of that happening is kind of like, yeah, that's not happening. I mean, 16,000 doesn't change 122. Let's look at Microsoft. Then it got to be bigger.
Probably.
IBM, I remember, was at one point was up to some crazy number. 128 for Microsoft. Oh, okay.
All right. So my not is a very I feel maybe an interesting take on I don't want this company to purchase them, and that's Google. I just don't feel like Google would leave well enough alone enough, if that makes sense. Google would try to change them way too much and go in some other direction. They'd be like, oh, you use this as your back end, change it now.
Right.
Oh, you've been doing it this way, well, we do it this way, and you must change that right now. And you're part of the Google Enterprise Apps division or whatever, and by the way, it's going to be just part of Google Apps or whatever. They just change it like way too much.
So let me throw you some numbers.
I'm like a fan of numbers.
Usually
numbers.
buying is based on the market cap, right? So a big company can buy a small company.
Right.
So CRM has a $48 billion market cap.
Mm-hmm.
Next up from that is IBM with $167 billion. Oracle's at 189. Microsoft's at 372.
Yeah.
So someone who could, and these are all the cloud computing. I'm going to go with technology now and just.
Well, how about like Amazon? Didn't you mention that one last week? Now we're just
if we're going top down from in the technology category.
Apple's
$720 billion.
And then what? Because then you just
Next
slice
up
it
is
in half and
Microsoft,
go from there.
372. Then Google at 361.
Yeah.
Then Facebook, 219.
Whoa.
Then Alibaba at 199. Yeah, you didn't see that coming, did you? Then Oracle, 189. Then IBM, 167. Intel, 150. Cisco, 147. Taiwan Semiconductor, Qualcomm, SAP, eBay, Hewlett-Packard, et cetera, et cetera.
But
Salesforce.
where's Dell?
Dell's not even on this list. Hewlett-Packard's on the list, though.
Where's Arkus?
So now if we're looking...
We're private.
We're not even private.
We're private.
So if you're going to look at this list of technology companies that could be interested and have the size, then I think you have to be looking at something sort of 100 and above, 100 billion above, in order to swallow a $50 billion company, unless you're doing a merger, which this doesn't sound like a merger. So that means you're kind of starting at the low line of Qualcomm, not interested. Taiwan Semiconductor, not interested. Cisco, not their thing. Intel, no. IBM, meh. You really list with like.
But what if you thought of it a slightly different way?
Okay.
Look up like UPS. I'm not even messing around. Just look it up.
Okay, I'm looking it up.
Or Xerox.
Yeah.
Fujitsu.
Market cap of UPS has $89 billion in market cap. Fujitsu?
Yeah. Like some of these more like logistics type of companies.
There's a lot of Fujitsus. Why would you think that?
Well, because UPS is in the problem solving business.
Shush. All right. Anyway, I think it's fascinating. I mean, I don't know.
It's certainly good fodder for a podcast.
It is. So something like Google. Maybe it'd be strange but you're basically just worried about the same thing I'm worried in the reverse, is that the culture of Google is so different.
Googly.
And that's sometimes fun, but
yeah,
they don't
sometimes
do enterprise.
Not, they don't.
Just what I was tweeting today. Welcome to the new Google Drive. Take a tour.
Yeah.
No. Your Google, it's not even as good. You've killed off features.
I hate new Google Drive. I keep turning it off every time they turn it on.
You can't.
It hasn't turned on for me yet. I keep turning it off. I hate it.
They're coming for you.
It's slow. I don't like it.
And it lost features that I use. And it's like,
well, here's what they also don't.
They don't
have.
do release notes. And here's what's coming. And like, we will change your interface from out from under you because we want to.
Yeah. I'm sure they do at a larger scale. Have a sales force, but I don't really think of them as having a sales team that could go out and sell enterprise software to enterprises.
Right.
I just don't really think of it that way.
Of the 17,000 Salesforce employees, a huge percentage of them is salespeople.
Right, sales and marketing people. And they happen to be pretty good at it.
Well, yes, they're good at selling sales.
And marketing.
So you could look for a company that doesn't have good relationships in enterprises,
Right?
But wants to be in the space.
Correct.
But see, to me, Oracle and SAP aren't there. They have that.
They totally have it. So does Microsoft.
Right. In fact,
Microsoft
Oracle
has
keeps going
better.
to Salesforce. People see switching between Oracle and
That's
and
Keith Block.
CRM.
He keeps bringing people around.
But I've heard of people going to Salesforce and going back. So
that's a culture shock thing,
right?
I get here and it's all alohas and smiley faces,
chatter,
as opposed to the Oracle situation.
Maybe patents. I mean, Oracle just seems kind of interesting because of they already have a ton of synergies.
Well, because of what they did to their technology,
right? They build on their
makes
stack.
a lot of sense,
right?
It's like you took our database and turned it into this cloud.
I mean, I just can't see Amazon wanting to be anywhere in this market. Like, why would they want to be anywhere in this market?
I don't know.
Like, what's it good for them?
I don't know. They used to sell books. Now what do? All sorts of stuff.
Right, but they don't really sell enterprise software.
They sell enterprise platforms.
Don't really
infrastructure, enterprise infrastructure.
I don't think they sell it. I think they have it, and then people use it.
So what? They give it away?
When's the last time you saw an ad for an Amazon service, like in Business Weekly? I read Inc.
I don't read any of those.
You don't read
things.
You don't read.
Yeah, can we just get that on the table? I don't read things. I'm cool with it.
All right, I'm putting it on the table, but I'm saying
it's there. It's just sitting there. I read Salesforce release notes. That's what I read.
It's painful.
That's a lot of pages a year.
That's a lot. That's almost like a book a year.
But I read them on the web almost exclusively now. So
I don't read them on the web. Can't read them on the plane when you're on the web. But like Amazon doesn't. If you think about it, you don't see ads for, When
was the last ad you saw for Salesforce?
Well, I mean, other than online, constantly.
Hold on, you just said like Inc. magazine. So where are we going with this?
Oh, Inc. magazine.
I see stuff for Salesforce in like airports, especially in San Francisco. But I feel like I see Amazon stuff too.
For enterprise? When's the last time you saw a guy in a suit like, I need my enterprise?
Honestly, I feel like people really do buy that stuff. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a business.
I think they use it and they buy it, but
you think they use it, but they don't buy it?
I don't think you need a sales team going around selling Amazon stuff because people just use it. They built their cloud infrastructure because they had overages. They built their entire cloud infrastructure.
When their stuff goes down, like half the consumer apps in the world go down.
Well, that's sort of the beauty of Amazon is they're not selling their stuff. People are just buying it. They're not actively selling it. They don't have to. It's so good and so flexible and so much a part of things. People just buy. Oh, where's your stack on? Oh, it's on Amazon. Oh yeah, because where else could it be? There's like 2 other places. It's on Heroku. It's on Rockspace.
Heroku's just they're on there anyway. That's where that is anyway.
So there you go. They're all on their stack. But you don't see people. You don't see like a guy in a suit with his engineer come into an office and be like, "I'm going to tell you about the Amazon stack." No, people just use it because it's so amazing and powerful and cheap. And the reason they keep it cheap is because they don't sell it.
Yeah, but if Amazon wanted to diversify and say, I've got the infrastructure as a service over here, and I've got my platform as a service over here.
They have all that. They just don't sell it.
The platform stuff?
Yeah. You should
like apps?
You should go look at
like I can go buy CRM from them?
No, you can go buy many CRMs and run it on their platform. All the open source stuff runs on their platform.
Oh, well, that's good stuff.
Yeah.
So I can go buy like open source CRM. Sounds good.
Oh yeah.
So why are we not using it? Why are we using the Salesforce thing?
Because Salesforce is a much better.
That's
better
why.
CRM.
Oh, okay, I get it now.
Right.
Now I get it.
Right.
Got it.
Oh, cost of entry. Like, why do you use?
I don't use
Talend over Actian.
Well, I don't.
All right.
I don't do that. Who does that? That's
why do you use Colonus User? Because it's free.
Now we're talking.
All right. So, we'll ask. I mean, obviously, it'll be a big question when I'm having.
Well, while we're out talking about this whole thing with them, we're gonna ask them, "Why are you approaching us, Salesforce?
Why do you
get out of my backyard?"
We were approaching them.
No, we got approached
to buy them.
To buy them,
right?
Not the other way. We thought it was the other way. They're like, "Hey guys, want to have some lunch?"
The most amazing thing I could see happening is nothing, because the only thing I could think of as a positive to any of this is that there is a feeling, but it couldn't go this way. There is a feeling that Salesforce is getting very big, and it's losing some of that like small agile company thing because it's getting so huge. I just don't see 16,000 people joining a company of 120 is going to make them more agile and more like they, more responsive to stuff. But if we went down the path and we said, well, what would be the benefits of each one of those? What would be the benefits of Microsoft? Access to their suite.
Better access to their suite.
Right. That stuff could be
seamless.
And with Office
just
360...
teaming up even more as a joint enterprise sales team.
Right.
But I think at that point, Microsoft would have to start making some decisions around their own suite of products.
Oh, yeah. They wouldn't buy Salesforce and then keep Dynamics.
I don't know. I feel like IBM has 2 products for every problem.
Probably does.
I feel like they do.
Yeah.
Remember when we were at the big company and you'd go to IBM and you'd be like, I'm looking for X, and they'd be like, well, we have this, and if you talk to some other guy, they'll show you that.
Right.
And it was like, but what about those guys? It's like, oh, that thing? Yeah, that thing too. But this thing's awesome.
It was awesome. But if you want to, of course, on the Idea Exchange, because we're in a social community, Michael Smith has posted, keep Salesforce.com independent, an idea on the Idea Exchange. It's up to 1,390 points. Mm-hmm. So you can go vote on that puppy.
Who is this Michael Smith character?
I don't know.
I'm looking him up.
It's a good way to, he apparently does HTML, CSS, and Java. So anyway, that if you want to go voice your concern, voice it then. So that's it. So next time, we're skipping next week. Sorry, kids. Next time we'll be back. We'll do Summer 15 because there will be not 1 but 2 blog posts by that point. So
Correct.
Watch next week for Summer 15 rapid release reaction.
Yeah, I don't even know if I'm going to include the rapid in there because it hasn't been so rapid. My timing was just off on this one.
Okay.
I guess I'll do that. It's for that and for sales.
And then sales will be right after.
Yeah.
So we'll have 2
we have
Summer
a couple
15
after that
to talk about.
Correct.
So we'll have a lot to talk about. So we've had to have read I've skimmed it, and I've done like a go through and find the stuff I'm really interested in.
Yeah.
Now I got to go read all of it.
Yep.
All right. So let's make some CloudFocus app picks of the week.
All right. So my CloudFocus pick of the week is kind of it's kind of like a bummer pick. Like, I was kind of excited.
I mean, most of your picks are bummer picks.
I was super excited for this. So you and I'll tell you why. Give me a second.
Okay.
So you and I use the 2-factor authentication using the identity code thing for Salesforce. What's it officially called? I don't know what they even call it. The 2-factor, but where you have to put in the 5-digit code every time. So we've actually picked some of these, the code managers, the Google Authenticator, Authy,
and most recently, which I'm still using and loving, 1Password.
So I was like, you know what? With the release of the Apple Watch, Salesforce Authenticator actually works on the Apple Watch. And I kept sort of getting frustrated every time I log into Salesforce. I have to put that code in. And I was thinking like, oh, if this was just on my wrist and I could just boop, 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 pop it up, that would be better than having to reach into my pocket, get my phone, or my phone's in the other room. I got to go over there and go get it.
1Password.
Anyway, so I'm like, let me download Salesforce Authenticator. So I can't say much about the app because the implementation of this from Salesforce is so awful.
What do you mean you didn't take the QR code and stick it in Evernote so you could scan it every time?
No. Because you shouldn't do that because that doesn't seem secure either. But the fact of the matter is, since I've already scanned it with Google Authenticator, I can't get back to it.
You can. It's just painful.
It's super. I as an admin, have to go remove my, totally undo the whole thing on the back end. Not the permission set. I think I have to just go to my user record and delete the fact that I've done it. I think that's how I would do it. The key, yeah. I think I'm just gonna actually double check that because I don't want to give anybody like bad.
No, it is. There's a key that sits on your user record.
Yeah, so if you go to your user record, which I'm doing right now, I'm just going to my user record. There is a field on there, time-based token, and there's a link that just says remove.
Right.
So if I removed it, the next time I logged in, it would ask me with the QR code. I think that's a crappy implementation, especially since I'm already logged out. I'm logged out, so I'm trying to log in to set it up, but since I've already set it up with some other app, I can't.
But most of them do it that way.
I feel like Google lets you redo it whenever you want.
No, you have to go in, you have to turn it off, and it's the same thing. It's actually the same for Evernote,
When I got my phone, my new phone, you know who did it differently was GitHub does it differently.
The only different one...
GitHub allowed you to just redo it.
The only difference is that the others, and this is where I will agree with you, that Salesforce doesn't do this well, is they don't give you backup codes.
No backups.
So your issue isn't really that, because you can get in.
I can get in.
You want to switch to a new app.
I just want to switch to a different app.
That's easy.
It's not easy. It's just not. It's not.
You log in, you click thing, and you log out.
Well, if I wasn't a system admin, how would I do it?
Exactly. Well, you need system admin access to do it. But I'm saying.
But wait.
Yeah.
I don't have to be a system admin on Google to do this.
To reset your two-factor? Sure you do.
I have to be a system administrator to reset that.
Yep.
Are you sure?
Yeah, because I'm a system administrator.
I know you are, but if you weren't, you wouldn't be able to reset it for yourself? If you were logged in, you wouldn't be able to reset that for yourself?
Yeah, once you logged in, you can then go and you can go turn it off.
I feel like anyone could do this,
but the only
in
problem
their Salesforce user record.
I don't know about Salesforce anymore or Google anymore, because Google used to not be able to force people to use two-factor, so they could turn it on or off. But now you can force them to use it. So I'm not even sure you can turn it off. The reason that Google and Evernote and Dropbox have backup codes is because you don't have admins. They don't want you to call them up. So they have backup codes, which then you could log in, turn it off, get the new QR code, and then use it again.
Anyway, the implementation of this needs a little work. Don't know, because I didn't go through that whole Michigas. So this is my anti-pick.
You're picking an app that you can't use because you won't click a button.
It, but I won't do it
because you won't click a button.
That's right. I refuse.
Tell me again about NGO Connect.
I won't.
All right, I want to pick something that's good. How about that? This is
Michigas.
Yeah, you're very yeah. So this is something that I've used. Is on my list for my app pick list for a while, but someone here at Arkus actually posted it inside of our chatter, so I went back to look at it, and I was like, "Oh, looks neat. Has some new features." I haven't really updated their features yet. Their pictures, because it still looks like Salesforce. Well, it says Salesforce 9, or I don't even know what that is. That'd be 09. I don't know. It is mass update contact addresses, which is a nice feature. It's a App Exchange product made by X Squared On Demand and released many, many years ago. It is free.
Is that David?
Might be. And what it allows you to do is very simple. You go in, you can then click on a mass update email addresses for. This is so you can get, if you update an address for an account and you want to populate it downwards to all the contacts. And this allows you to pick which ones you want to. You can sort by who they are and then say update, and it just spreads it out downward. That's a nice little visual for us. Nice, cute little app. We actually had a use case for this the other day that the partner shall not be named. Could have used this instead of what he did, which is like use a data loader. Anyway, mass update contact addresses by X Squared On Demand. It is free on the App Exchange. All right. Well, we will not be back next week. We'll be back the week after our purchasing of Salesforce. You can follow Justin and his love of all things Authenticator at Just Edelstein. You can follow me at Jason M. Atwood. The company, of course, is Arkus Inc. You can follow at Arkus Inc. Facebook.com/Arkus Inc. We're in the Success Community group. We have our own group. You should go in there if you want to see, or if you want to follow us there. LinkedIn, Google+. Remember, always, please go subscribe and review us on iTunes or Stitcher, whichever. We don't care. Until, I guess, 2 weeks from now, Justin Jason saying, enjoy those cloudy days.